Alrighty, so for our assignment here this week, I decided that I would go down the route of going over a mission, a famous mission, space mission in history. And I'm a dog lover, and my dog is actually a big part of my life, a big source of my happiness. So I decided I would see what I could find about dogs in space. And for this particular project, I decided I would dive into the first dog to go into space. So, the first dog was a Russian dog. Her name was Laika. This is Laika. She was obviously the first dog to go into space, but not only the first dog, she was also the first living creature to orbit the Earth. Yes, this is what laid the foundation for human space travel. Laika was a Husky Spitz mix, and she was actually a stray that was rescued off the streets and brought in and trained to go into space. Laika was sent into space in the Sputnik 2 spacecraft, designed specifically for Laika, to be the first living creature to test space to see if it was livable. She was on the second ever ship to leave Earth's orbit. It left on November 3rd, 1957. It completed 2,570 orbits. Unfortunately, Laika only survived about 4 of those orbits. Sputnik 2 was the first mission to carry a living animal, and it ultimately blew up upon re-entry. Now, Laika would undergo G-forces 5 times the gravity levels on Earth, so she obviously had to go through quite a bit of training. She first had to be chosen out of a large group of other female stray dogs. They found females to be the best for this specific scenario, being that they could, or they were the most obedient and docile out of the males and female stray dogs. So they had the most success training them and getting them to do what they needed to do. In training, she spent a couple of days or weeks at a time in a pressurized capsule, getting used to pressurized areas. And she was placed into this suit that you see here. Doctors performed surgery before her flight, where they implemented medical devices for heart impulses, breathing rates, and blood pressure so they could track how she was doing. This suit here was armed with sensors and fitted with a sanitation system to keep it clean as best as they could. But it was a pretty small suit, only allowed for a couple inches of movement, and it was all fortified up with supports, so there wasn't a whole lot of movement, so she could take the pressure. Being the first animal into space, she was obviously like a hero, highly revered. Unfortunately, Russia lied to their people for about 9 days because they were worried about mistreatment stuff and people getting upset. Many foundations came after Russia following all of this, saying that she was unfairly treated and it was cruel. Nowadays, she is revered as a space hero because she was the first to prove that space is livable, or at least under certain conditions, and that space travel for humans is right on the horizon. Her story has been told for years, over and over, throughout the world, and she's in many different museums. And in 1997, to honor her and give her a little homage for sacrificing her life for the space travel, the Russian government created her a